Every company right now is racing to use AI, whether it is ChatGPT, Copilot, or any kind of custom models. You name it, but almost none of them can answer one simple question. How do you prove your AI is being used safely, fairly, and it is under control? This is exactly the gap which ISO 42001 was built to close, right? So in this series, I am going to walk you through the entire standard clause by clause. So whether you are implementing it, auditing it, or just trying to understand, you will actually know what you are doing, right? I'm Kapil Sharma from UpBrightSkills. If you work in IT security or compliance, or you are just trying to future proof your career around AI governance, hit subscribe because this series is going to be one of the most practical ISO 42001 resource on YouTube. In this video series, we will be covering all the major clauses and extra controls of the standard. It is designed for three audiences: implementer, the auditors, and the executive. So as I said, this is going to help three different audiences: implementer, those who are actually implementing the governance, AI governance in their organization. Second is the audit team, those who are responsible for taking internal audits so that they can understand the requirements in a better way and they can do the audits effectively. The third one is a team members or an executives. So you will understand what AIMS actually means for your day-to-day work. So these are the legends which we are going to use in this entire video series. So the must is where you will get to know that the must to have requirements of ISO 42001. So these are the mandatory requirements of the compliance. So if you do not follow those compliance or if you do not meet those requirements, then you will not be able to certify yourself or your organization. Okay. So in the standards, when you read the standard, you will find the cell language, right? So that means it is a mandatory requirement. The second one is a good to have requirements, which is a recommended best practices or a guidance. So in the standard, you will find should or may language. So that means it is a good to have requirement. It is not must to have requirements. So what we will be covering in this series is the first is introduction. This is the first video series, which is we will be covering the basics of ISO and the scope of that. The second one is terms and definitions, which we are going to utilize this in this entire video series or for the entire AIMS training. The third one is the clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, clause 10. And after that, we will be covering a comprehensive session on the annexure A controls, which are basically the requirements of your ISO 42001. And then I will try to also cover annexure B, annexure C, and annexure D. Okay, those are basically nothing but an implementation guidelines for annexure A, different clauses and the controls. And annexure C and D are basically the objectives where you will be able to find the objectives and the risk sources, basically to help you to implement or to identify the risk or to help to identify the objectives for your AIMS. So whatever documents are required for this particular implementation of ISO 42001, I will be creating those templates, and at the end of this series, I will be uploading all the mandatory documents or templates on my GitHub repository so that you can download those documents and you can modify those documents as per your organization requirements. So let us start with some basic understanding. What is ISO? And in this, we will be covering what is ISO, difference between standards and the guideline, what is AI, types of AI systems, what is ISO 42001, benefits of implementing ISO 42001, right? So in this video, we are going to cover this. So what is ISO? I hope everyone must have heard what is ISO, right? So ISO is basically an international organization standardization. So it is an independent non-government organization that develops, publishes international standards. So ISO has published so many different standards for different kinds of domains or different industries. So this particular standard which we are covering right now, which is ISO 42001, which is basically focusing on artificial intelligence management system, right? So there are other different standards. For example, ISO 27001, which is basically for information security. Then there is another standard which is ISO 9001, which is basically for quality management system. So there are different standards which are being published by ISO. Publishes international standard for wides of different industries. So as I said, so it is covering different kinds of industries. It has total 167 member countries involved as a member of development of standards. So there are different countries involved in this for making this particular standards and making it effective so that it can be used by various different industries. Every standard has its own objective. As I said, 42001 is specifically for artificial intelligence management system. 27001 is for information security. 9001 is for quality. So similarly, there are other standards covering other different domains. Now, before we go further into ISO 42001, it is important to understand the two uh, main terminology, which is standard and the guidelines, right? So people often use them interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. And the difference actually matters how you implement them. So a standard is basically a set of requirements developed by a recognized body like an ISO. In this case, standards are typically auditable and often certifiable. That means external party can come in and assess your organization against the standard requirements and issue a certificate confirming that you are meeting the standard requirements. So standard will use the word like shall. The shall, wherever you find in the standard, that means it is a mandatory requirement, and you have to make sure that you meet that particular requirement. If you do not, if you fail to meet that particular requirement, then you will not be able to, you will not be able to certify your organization. So the guidelines are basically, on the other hand, it is a set of recommendations or a best practices or an advice on how to achieve an objective. It use words like should, may, can, right? So you will find this kind of words in the guidelines. Those are not actually meant that when you fulfill those guideline requirements, it is not, it does not mean that you are eligible for the certifications. The guidelines are basically to give you the directions to assist you in the implementation part, right? It explains how the implementation can be done, right? So that can help you and assist you. Adoption is flexible based on the organization need, right? It is not a mandatory requirements whether you want to follow that particular guidelines or if you want to follow some other guidelines. That is up to the organization choice. So it is not a mandatory. So let us understand what is AI and the examples of AI system. So AI means artificial intelligence. AI refers to the ability of machine or a softwares to perform tasks that normally requires a human intelligence, right? So here, for examples, there are different AI systems. So here you can see the virtual assistant, which is basically your Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant. So that can be your virtual assistants, which can help you in various different ways, right? So that is one of the example of AI system. Then we have recommendation systems like Netflix, YouTube, Amazon, right? So in Netflix also you must have seen that there is an AI now implemented, right? So if you want to search something or if you want to get some kind of recommendations on what you want to watch, then you can go and type there and you can get the recommendations, right? YouTube also has similar algorithm. Amazon is also having the same kind of feature, right? Then we have this spam detection mechanism, right? That the other example is spam detection. So you have a system which will actually help you to detect spam. Then the other example is face recognition. Then we have language translations, AI in healthcare, AI in fraud detection. So there are different examples of AI systems, right? I hope everyone must be aware about the AI systems, and I think every one of us are now using AI in various different ways, whether it is ChatGPT, whether it is Siri or Alexa. AI is everywhere. AI is in your phone, AI is in your day-to-day life. Now let us understand what is ISO 42001. So ISO 42001 is the first international standard. It is published in year 2023. It is published by ISO and IEC jointly. It has total 10 clauses and Annexure A controls. ISO 42001 specifies the requirements and provides guidance for establishing, implementing, maintaining and continually improving AI management system within the organization. So it is applicable to any kind of organization regardless of use, type or the nature of the business, right? And that provides the use or products or service utilizing AI systems. So whether they have their own AI systems, whether they are utilizing some third-party AI systems, it is applicable to everyone, right? It helps organization to develop, provide and use AI system responsibly, meeting the objective and the stakeholder requirement. We can consider integrating this ISO management system, which is ISO 14001, with our other standards, right? Other standards like ISO 27001, which is the information security standard, or ISO 9001, which is the quality management standard. So if you already have standard implemented in your organization like 9001 or 27001, then it becomes very easy for you to implement or integrate 42001 in your organization, because most of the requirements or most of the documents can be used as a common document just by modifying certain requirements or integrating certain requirements of ISO 42001 in the same document. So ISO 42001 in the management system family, ISO 42001 use the same structure like other standards in the family. So here you can see that three different standards which I have included, which are basically using the same kind of architecture or same kind of structure, we can say, as ISO 42001. So 9001 which is basically focusing on quality management system, and it has shared with ISO, I mean, clause 4 to 10 are risk-based thinking, right? So it is the same 4 to 10 clauses are same available in 42001. It is focusing on product service quality. ISO 27001 2022 version, which is for information security. It is the things which are being shared with ISO is like context, leadership, planning, support, and operations, right? So same 4 to 10 clauses are, most of them are similar. Just by integrating or some modification with the existing requirements and the requirements of 42001, the same document can be utilized with ISO 42001. Then we have ISO 42001, which is an AI management system. It has the same harmonized structure framework, plug and play integration, so it can easily be integrated with your other standards, as I said. And it is focusing on AI lifecycle, impact assessment, data governance, and AI policy, right? So it is basically for artificial intelligence management system. So as I said, if your organization holds ISO 27001 or 9001 certifications, up to 60% of management infrastructure, policy, audit programs, documented information controls, management review can be reused, or same documents or same format can be reutilized for ISO 42001. Right. All right, now let us understand the benefits of implementing ISO 42001. Build trust. It helps organization to demonstrate that they are developing and using AI responsibly. This builds a confidence among customer, business partners, regulators, and the other stakeholders. Improves AI quality. The standard encourages organization to develop AI systems that are secure, reliable, transparent, and easy to monitor. This improves overall quality and the performance of AI applications. Speed up AI adoption. So instead of figuring everything out on their own, organization can follow the structure framework. This makes AI development more faster, consistent, and easy to adopt, right? So ISO 42001 is a framework which gives you the standard requirements. Just following that standard requirements, you will be able to easily implement the AI or make the AI adoption faster. Because the standard provides established process, best practices, organization don't have to create their own processes or policies from scratch. The next is reduce cost. Because the standard provides established process and the best practices, organization don't have to create everything from scratch. This saves time and money, and it can help you to implement it faster. Simplify compliances. Follow the same management structure as other ISO standards such as 9001, 27001. So organizations that are already using these standards can easily integrate AI management system more easily. The next is support legal and ethic requirements. The standard helps organization identify the legal responsibilities and encourages ethical use of AI, making it easier to meet the regulatory and the governance requirement. Next is meet the stakeholder expectations. So today the customer, employees, and the business partners expect AI to be fair, transparent, and responsible. So ISO 42000 helps to meet those requirements or to meet those expectations. Next is improve risk management. The standard provides a systematic approach to identify, assess, and reduce the AI related risk before they impact the organization or its user, right? So we have a structured process. Just following that particular process, you will be able to easily identify, assess the risk, can identify the resolutions for that. So the next is enable continuous improvement. So organization regularly reviews and improves their AI management system, ensuring they remain active, they remain effective, secure, and aligned with the changing business and regulatory needs. So by doing the continuous review of your AI management systems or AI systems, you will make sure that it is actually effective, secure, more reliable, and it is actually aligning with your business and the regulatory requirements. Create business opportunities, demonstrate international best practices, helping organization complete globally and enter the new markets, right? So following international recognized standards increases definitely your credibility. So when you go and tell to your customer that we are ISO 42001 certified, it actually gives a customer confidence that we are following the different best practices of AI management system. And just with that particular confidence, you might get a good contract or a good customer. So overall summary is ISO 42001 provides a structured framework for managing AI responsibility. It helps organization to build trust, reduce risk, improve compliances, lower cost, create reliable AI systems, and that supports long-term business success. So if you want to go and buy the standard, you can go to this particular website, which is iso.org. You can buy this particular standard link, which I have already mentioned here. You can follow this link and you can go and buy the standard for your organization. So in the next section, we will be covering ISO 42001. So understanding the terms precisely is critical because the standard uses them in very specific ways. So in the entire standards, we have used different terminologies. So we will try to understand those terms. Those are being utilized in the AI management system.